Hello, story lovers, and welcome to Sleepless Historian Vault, your cozy corner for epic tales and grand adventures. Have you ever felt a chill so deep it seemed to seep into the very soul of the world? A cold that wasn't just weather, but a creeping silence, a fading of the light. Today, we journey to a land gripped by an endless winter, a world of pristine snow and breathtaking beauty, where the sun itself is a fading memory. We'll follow a young woman who discovers a secret that could either save her world or plunge it into an eternal frozen night. As you listen, I want you to think about this question. If you held the last ember of hope for your world in your hands, would you have the courage to carry it through the storm? Let me know your answer in the comments below. And if you enjoy escaping into new worlds, don't forget to press that like button, subscribe for more epic stories every week, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an adventure. Also, tell me what kind of stories you'd love to hear next. High fantasy, space opera, mystery, horror. Your suggestions shape this channel. Now settle in, get comfortable, and let's begin our story. The cold was a living thing in Frostwind Village. It was more than the perpetual blanket of snow that softened every edge and roofline, more than the intricate frost ferns that crawled across window panes each morning. It was a presence, a quiet pressure that leached the color from the sky and the warmth from every hearth. The elders whispered that the sun had grown tired, its golden heart slowly turning to ice. The winters, once a season, had become an age. Elara, however, found a different kind of life in the quiet. Her world was the great library of Frostwind, a cavernous, circular building burrowed into the heart of the village, insulated by earth and stone. Its shelves, carved from ancient petrified wood, spiraled towards a single, ice-distorted skylight. Here, amidst the scent of aging paper and drying ink, she was not a villager huddled against the cold, but an explorer of forgotten lands and lost histories. She was a cartographer, a keeper of maps that showed a world no one had seen in generations, a world with vast green forests and winding blue rivers, not just endless shades of white and gray. Her father, the previous lore master, had bequeathed to her not just the library, but a relentless curiosity. While others saw the encroaching ice as an insurmountable fate, Elara saw it as a problem to be solved, a question written in a language she had yet to decipher. She spent her days poring over brittle scrolls and star charts, searching for any mention of a time before the Great Chill. Her discovery came not with a triumphant shout, but a quiet gasp in the library's deepest, most dust-choked alcove. Tucked within a false-bottomed chest labeled Obsolete Navigational Tools, she found it. It was a compass, but not like any she had ever seen. Forged from a coppery metal that felt strangely warm to the touch, its face was not glass but a sliver of polished amber. There were no markings for north, south, east, or west. Instead, the needle, a sliver of what looked like petrified sunlight, spun lazily before settling, unmoving, in a single direction, towards the jagged, impassable peaks of the Dragon's Tooth Mountains to the northeast. Beneath the compass, rolled into a tight scroll and sealed with wax now hard as stone, was a map. It was drawn on vellum so thin it was nearly translucent, its ink still vibrant despite the ages. It depicted the very mountains the compass pointed towards, but with an impossible addition. A city, a grand citadel of spiraling towers and radiant light, labeled in the angular script of the ancestors, the first light people. The name was Elara, the Sunstone Citadel. A legend, she'd thought, a bedtime story told to children to remind them of the sun. But the compass in her hand was real, its warmth a defiant spark against the cold seeping through her woolen gloves. The accompanying text, which took her a week to painstakingly translate, spoke not of a myth, but of a piece of symbiotic magic. The Sunstone, the heart of the Citadel, was a conduit, a celestial heart that drew upon the sun's distant fire and amplified its warmth across the land. It was failing. The text was a plea, a set of instructions, a desperate hope left by the last of the first light. The stone needed to be reattuned, its connection to the heavens rekindled before the whispering shadow consumed the last of its embers. The decision solidified in her heart like ice, but with a core of fire. The village council, led by the pragmatic elder Maeve, would never approve. To them, the mountains were a tomb, a place where the wind howled with the voices of those who had dared to challenge the winter. To leave the relative safety of Frostwind was a death sentence. Elara knew this, so she prepared in secret. She packed dried rations, climbing ropes, flint and steel, and her warmest furs. She traced the ancient map onto newer, more durable parchment, her cartographer's hand steady and precise. She studied the citadel's layout, memorizing its passages and chambers as if she were walking them in a dream. Her most precious cargo was the ancestor's compass and the original map, tucked into an oilskin pouch and worn close to her heart. On the night of the twin moons, when the snowscape was bathed in an ethereal silver and blue light, she slipped out of the village. The great gate, a massive barrier of ice and iron, was sealed, so she used her knowledge of the village's foundations to navigate a half-forgotten smuggler's tunnel, its entrance hidden behind a loose stone at the back of the library. As she emerged into the open, the sheer scale of the world hit her. The wind, no longer broken by the village walls, was a physical force, carrying shards of ice that stung her cheeks. The Dragon's Tooth Mountains were a serrated silhouette against the star-dusted sky, looking impossibly far, impossibly hostile. For a moment, a tremor of fear, cold and sharp, ran through her. She was a scholar, not a survivalist. Her life had been one of paper and ink, not ice and stone. She looked back at the slumbering village, a small cluster of warm, smoky lights in the vast, indifferent white. They were content to fade with the world. She was not. Clutching the warm compass in her gloved hand, its needle pointing steadfastly into the frozen dark, Elara took her first step into the wilderness. She was following a legend, guided by a dead star, chasing the ghost of a summer she had never known. The age of ice was absolute, but in her heart she carried a spark, a tiny, defiant dawn,